Hello, everybody. Welcome back to LoanOfficerPodcast.com. I'm your host, Chris Johnstone, and we have Peter Pessetto on the call today. Peter, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much for having me. I am very grateful to be here and spend some time with you.
Awesome. So Peter works with Adam Crosley, who is absolutely tearing it up in the charts. But when I say work with, this is something different than you've probably ever heard, because Peter is a very successful real estate coach. And he's joined Adam and his team in order to build qualified real estate relationships and grow the business that way. So I think this is going to be a super interesting conversation. Peter, did I get all that right?
Yes, that's probably the best. If you can put it in a sentence, that's the best way to put it. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So your job every day, or what you get to do every day, is you're going out, you're building relationships with qualified real estate agents. Is that right?
I am, and I am looking to take the relationships that we have with our current agents deeper. And that's one thing that I always talk about is I feel like too often in this industry, both on the real estate side and on the lender side, we snorkel too much on relationships and we need to scuba dive more on them. And, you know, if we would just slow down to take an extra 5-10 minutes with someone, what gets unlocked at the next level is amazing for both people.
Yeah, and it's stickier and it's more valuable for both sides. So let's talk a little bit about new relationships and then pivot the conversation into how do you go deep? How do you, that second appointment, you've met with a real estate agent first, you've done your, let's call it a coffee appointment, and then they haven't sent you a deal yet. And like getting deeper in the relationship to make that transition happen, and then long-term relationships. So that's kind of the framework that we'll work through here. So what are you doing to get new meetings and new opportunities and new real estate relationships in the mortgage business?
Well, I think it starts with, it's wonderful analogy to draw to like online dating, right? Like, so if I'm on a dating app, I wouldn't say immediately, hey, Chris, why don't you come over to my house? Because that person's not going to accept that invitation, right?
Right.
It's, hey, let's meet at a public place first. Let's meet for coffee or a drink or a walk or something like that. And I think too often we're trying to dive too deep into people's lives or businesses, and we haven't had an opportunity to prove how much we care or to what we know. And so inviting them to an event, as you know, education, I've said it on multiple of your calls, education is paramount for us. And through education comes trust, and through trust comes relationship, right? Those steps have to happen first. So inviting them to an event that is relevant to them and their business is that public meeting place. Hey, like, you don't want to meet for coffee? No problem. We have this, 1 hour training that's coming up on how Adam built his portfolio by 4 million in the last 4 years. Would you like to hear more about it? We have an opportunity to show you how to take one sale and turn it into 3 with investment loans. Would you like to come and learn a little bit more? And using those opportunities, when I was in recruiting and I was with Keller Williams for many years, they were very, being inside the Keller Williams model had a major influence on my career and the trajectory. Events were the number one recruiting opportunity. Events were the absolute number one recruiting opportunity. And so I would get people that I could never get a meeting with. I could get them to come in and sit with a class and show, you know what I mean? And just let them learn.
And without having classes, online or in person?
So because of Adam's market being very rural and being very spread out, we have moved that to more online. I've kind of dragged him a little kicking and screaming into the digital world. We've also done some hybrid where, because Adam does enjoy having people in front of him when he's presenting, we'll have room for people to be there, and we have a computer going, and I'm simulcasting it on Zoom. So we have the opportunity for more people to participate.
That's awesome. Do you have a size of room that you like, or like a number of attendees where you find, like, I find events can get too big where you can't make that personal connection with enough people? And then, like, so do you have like a size that you aim for?
Well, I guess I would just say not everyone is Chris Johnstone, so not everyone is going to fill the room the way you and you might. I think minus 100, under 100 is good on Zoom, especially if you've got someone else managing it, managing the tech part. And Adam's doing the presenting, so I can manage the comments and I can pause
Nice.
him in times. And, hey, we got a question from somebody online, and interact, and I can answer questions in Zoom. In person, anywhere's from 10 to 20.
Yeah, nice. Yep.
I got some great advice a very long time ago in my career when I was learning to be a trainer. And what happens is people come in, and let's say you only get 4 or 5 that show up.
Yep.
That's when presenters tend to sort of go, oh, well, we didn't have a ton of people show up, so I'm just going to do it this way. And
Right.
it's actually the opposite. You need to do even better.
Yeah.
And when I was running a Keller Williams office at first, I'd have 3 to 5 people show up for a class that I would do.
Yep.
And I would work my ass off to be, it was the best presentation that they'd ever seen, so that they'd be walking around the office going, oh my God, did you miss out? And
Yep.
within a year, if I announced that I was teaching something, the room was full.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And so, how do you invite agents to classes? How do you actually, like, get the invite out there and get people to agree to register to come to a class?
Well, we have this thing called an LOCRM. Uh, so I think to just talk about attendance is missing a little bit of the point. Every time we have an event, it's an opportunity to touch people 4 to 5 times.
Yep. Oh,
Right?
whoa. Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm going to call around to my qualified agent prospect list. Hey, we're having this event. Then, because I've got the workflows built, so anyone that I didn't talk to, and I had just sent the voicemail and email, I put them back into a power dialer and I call them again. Hey, wanted to make sure. And it's amazing how many people got a voicemail or an email from me the first time that pick up the second.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have the event, and then you get to call afterwards and say, hey, the event went great. We just had 90 people that were registered for this event. Here's some of the comments we got from it. Here's a link if you'd like to access it. If there are other classes that you would like to see, we'd love to have your input, because we want relevant classes. So every time we have an event, it's an opportunity to touch people 3, 4, and more times.
Yep. And adding the value to them. And I love that, hey, what classes would you like to see in the future? What type of event can we put together? Because that's where some of the best ideas come from.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the first one we did this year was a class on 1031 tax deferred exchanges. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Not,
Okay, cool.
not huge. I mean, we had 25 people or so registered, and it was a good event. And we went back to all the agents that were there afterwards and said, hey, we were really focusing on events this year. What would you like to see? And it was amazing. Almost every single agent said, you know what? I would love to see a back to the basics mortgage 101, because so much is always changing. I need a refresher. And I thought this was very telling. Almost all of the top agents in our market and the most experienced, the ones that have been out there for years and years, they were the ones that wanted the mortgage 101.
Yep.
The newer agents that weren't doing much were like, oh, I know everything. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But there was, right. They were so appreciative. And then because that went so well, we were able to take that class to the public and then go back to them and say, hey, remember that mortgage 101 class? Here's an invitation here's an invite, a copy and paste, just, right, make it easy for them. Here's a way for you to invite your database and find out who right now is thinking about buying or selling without being super hard. So now I'm helping them lead generate. I'm giving them the market to lead generate. They don't even have to show up. I track it all because I've got the systems to do it. And I go back to them afterwards and say, hey, Chris, Jane Smith came and she said that she was thinking about buying. You might want to take a minute and reach out.
Yep, that's phenomenal. And so you're using the Loan Officer CRM. It has all of the lists of all the qualified agents. There's now no cap on the number of agents that you can export. You're
Right.
taking those, putting them into a workflow. That's adding them to the power dialer. So you're making phone calls to them. If they don't pick up, you're dropping a voicemail that invites them to the class. And then you've got a sequence of emails that say, here's the class, here's the class, here's the class. And then a follow-up sequence that's like, hey, we had the class. Here's what you missed. Reach out if you'd like us to get you the information.
Correct.
Amazing. That is absolutely incredible. So now these generate results. And I know it's a moving target and it's a moving number, but you get these opportunities. How many of the agents that you have attend a class or that you have that first step with, how many of them actually end up referring business?
I would say 80 to 90%. Like,
what? No, come on, that high?
Yeah, because they see what we can do and they're coming out of those classes going, oh, with somebody specific going, oh, John Smith really needs to speak to you guys, or so-and-so really needs to speak to you guys.
That's so funny because you're educating the real estate agents on the parts of their database that you can help with. They see it as an opportunity to go and unearth or re-engage a deal. And they're the ones that are going out doing the work, getting the customers and bringing them to you because they understand the loan products better.
Right. And we're in New York State, and during COVID, Kathy Hochul, that's the governor, had listed real estate agents under the same category as telemarketers. So real estate agents in New York are not allowed to smile and dial their network.
Did not know that.
And so it's made it very challenging for real estate agents in New York State to keep up with their database. So what we've done is give them something that they can use to reach out to their database.
Yep.
That isn't solicitous, that isn't going to get their hand slapped, and provides them a way of keeping their name in front of their database.
That's amazing.
And that's right. So it's solving your client's problem. At the heart of it, right? Like that's, what is the biggest problem your client has? Go solve it. Whatever it is, go solve it.
Yeah, and I love that, asking them, what's your problem? What do you need education on? Producing the education and then following up and helping solve the problem for them after they've told you that they have it. Peter, that's brilliant.
Right.
Awesome.
It's a full circle. And then when the client comes in, what happens is exactly what we said was going to happen in the education. There's no surprises.
Beautiful. Let's go a little bit into deepening relationships with agents. Mm-hmm. They've attended a class or you've had a coffee appointment with them. How do you keep in touch without it feeling weird until you get that first referral? How do you go deep with these relationships?
I think, when we get that first referral, just to take that little half step in that direction so that you see where it's sort of like the closer they come, the more I'm willing to do.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Right. If all you want to do is come to our education classes and we never get a referral from you, that's fine. I'm happy to have you, because at the end of the day, a smarter market is a smarter market. It helps everyone.
Yep.
Right. If I teach somebody something that they're able to go pick up 3 listings from, and we don't get any of those buyers, but it opens up more inventory in our market. And, we've got, X number 100 pre-approved and looking people, and one of them can take the house. It helps everyone.
Yep.
Right. And so I think you have to have some sort of inner line that you're like, yeah, like I know that I may not get business from these people, and I'm so committed to being the source of education, I'm still going to do this.
Yep. And, I think it's funny for our listeners because the real estate stats that came out this month were really shocking. So there was that big, I think it was the RICO conference or whatever. I don't want to misspeak. So, but big conference came out, and the amount of loan officers, I think it's like 60. It was more than 50% of real estate agents are in that like 1 to 4 deals a year category. And so when
And
we're in the
2% are in the, and there's only 2% of agents in 2024 that sold between 11 and 20 properties.
like, I mean, obviously that's where we want to focus because we want to focus on the biggest bang. But having these education events and having them attend on the regular, I don't want anybody out there feeling like they haven't sent me a referral, so I should just like back off on this relationship or back off on the value, because it's not necessarily that they're not sending it to you. It's just that they don't have it to send right now.
Right. And,
You know?
and there have been agents that, we treat as if they just sent us their last 20 deals, right? No matter when we've gotten a referral from them, we're going to treat them because we have a standard of how we treat everyone.
Yep.
And they, so you refer somebody, we book the appointment. I go back and I'm like, hey, just want to let you know, Jane's going to be meeting with, our Rockstar LO Tuesday at 1:00. Thank you so much for the introduction. We really appreciate it. And they're so grateful just for that little message. And so I did that with one agent, I'd done a couple times, and she'd send a little thank you back in text. It was great. And then I put all my agents in our phone so I know who they are when they call. Right.
Yep.
Any of the agents call the office, I'm answering. Hey, Chris, how are you? Right. And they're like, how did you know? I'm like, I got your number, like
Yep.
when you call, I want to know, make sure that we answer the phone for you. So that led to a 3-minute conversation. And I said, hey, look, if you happen to have any old leads, I'd be happy to follow up with them. We're getting 216 leads from this one agent that I did that with last week.
Okay. I love this offer. This has been a marquee offer of ours for a long time, and we still pull it out all the time to book qualified appointments. So I have noticed that as of recent, in like the last year, for some strange reason, when we're putting them into the CRM and the CRM is following up and we're actually making phone calls to those leads, we're actually getting deals. Like we're getting deals from these online leads that we're then referring back to the real estate agent. But it was weird. We went through this phase of years where it was like, we'll call them, but we're just doing it to do the effort to show the agent that we're putting in the work. But now, for some reason, I don't know what it is, it was like if we call these leads that we're getting from the real estate agents, there's deals in there that we're actually unearthing for the agents. Are you finding the same thing?
100%. And because of, I'm familiar with the system and I'm good at creating fields, I have special fields to track every lead. So I'm going around to even agents. So an agent that might have sent us referrals in the past, we haven't heard from a month or two.
Yeah.
I book appointments with them and I'm like, hey, I'd love to go through all the leads that you've sent us in the last year and a half and just go through them and see where everyone is. And I pull them up and they're like, oh my God, I forgot about that person. Oh my God. And I'm calling them. They're like, yeah, don't know what happened with that. Don't know what happened with that. Yeah, this person's still looking. And then I'll call and I'm like, hey, that old lead. Yeah, I got them. They're got an appointment to get pre-approved next week.
What a great idea.
Here's a statistic that I wish I had known earlier in my career that I heard you share. And I think LOs need to be talking to their agents about this, is that 40% of deals are going to fund after 6 months. I think that's Carl, that came from Carl, right?
Yep.
How many LOs are telling their realtors that? How many realtors understand? Because most realtors are not keeping up with somebody outside of a 60-day window, right?
Yep.
And so if I said to you, hey, Chris, you've sent me 10 referrals, statistically, 4 of these aren't going to close for another 6 months. If it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and continue to follow up with all your leads. I'll make sure that you're included inside that conversation because I can put in a custom field, of, hey, referred by Chris Johnstone. Hey, and I could drop that into the email. Hey, I don't know if you and Chris have been looking at calls, and I could put that in. And make you look like a rock star, automated, and you don't lose the business and we don't lose the business.
That is incredible. Well, so golden nuggets, Peter, tons of them in this episode. That's absolutely amazing. Okay, so reactivating their database, reactivating their old leads. If somebody wants more information on unlimited agent data, the workflows, how to book appointments, everything's pre-built for you, go to LoanOfficerCRM.ai. So LoanOfficerCRM.ai, not .com, and book a call with our team, or just invest. You kick the tires, try the whole thing out. Right now, if you purchase before the end of the month, we're waiving the $297 setup fee. So this is $297, get in, try it out. You don't like it after 30 days, we'll give you 100% of your money back. You keep the data. So there's my big...
Can I say something? This is a point that I would have loved to make around that. I went through a period last year where I'm a single dad and my son's with me, all the time. And I had gone through a period where I was kind of between apartments, and he was with his mom more of the time. So every day I got on Zoom with him and did homework. And what we found, and because we were doing it every single day and looking at his grades and every score, there would be times that he would just forget to hand things in. Now he's in 6th grade, he's in middle school. It's the first time moving, right? It's been a big learning year for us. But at the end of the first quarter, because we had done things every day, I was able to show him, and this was a really powerful lesson for him in his life, is I said to him, look, buddy, you're smart enough to be an honor roll student. You're just not organized enough. And I really started understanding agents and LO's business at a much higher level, because most agents, I think, and loan officers, they work hard enough to hit their goals. They are smart enough and they work hard enough. They are not organized enough. And I'm here to tell you, that day that you're waiting for, when everything's going to stop and you're going to get organized, ain't coming. And I think the CRM, if nothing else, has put our entire team on a level of organization that we've never seen before. And the speed at which anyone on our team can access information while somebody's on the phone and be present and know what's going on, the impact on the client is unbelievable.
Wow, Peter, that's amazing. And congratulations on leaning in on that with your son and finding the golden nugget and finding those things. We're currently homeschooling our kids as well. And it's amazing how much education happens outside of the textbooks and the actual work itself. It's almost like they have the activities to do and there's knowledge in that, but it's almost like the activities are set there to help you make those realizations of what's actually going to move you forward in life and what you're in. So congratulations.
And people don't understand what they think organization is, maybe all the Post-it notes in one folder, and it's
they're all on one monitor. Yeah.
There's so many answers that come. I come in from the outside into Adam's business, right? I'm not an LO. I'm not in the day-to-day, and I'm not in the day-to-day pulling apps and understanding loan things, right? And I'm in charge of leads. Like, I want to make sure that we're hitting our leads and we're hitting our appointments. And so we want to have the most amount of appointments that are going to pre-approve. So does everyone. Yep. Well, I'd asked Adam, where did he think it was? And it was a high percentage for agent referrals. And we had a 13% increase if it was a referral from a past client in the appointment to approved percentage. It was our highest percentage.
Okay.
The highest percentage of appointments to pre-approvals was from past clients or past client referrals. And as soon as we saw that, because we were now organized enough that we could figure it out, and we started putting more emphasis on the past clients, we've had a 95% increase year to date on business from past clients.
That's incredible.
So it's the same amount of energy. It's the same amount of calls. And we've had a 95% increase because we're organized enough to know who to call.
Data drives businesses. That's just in focus, but you having the data, taking the time to analyze it, and then making strategic decisions because of that, kudos to you. That's running a business. But I think everybody here listening to the podcast can just take your knowledge and your systems and your organization and apply it to their business, because absolutely 100% we see that. Now, I also think, and Peter, thank you for being so generous with your time. I got one more question, but it might have a couple of parts. So I talk to a lot of loan officers that are like, I don't want to mess with real estate agents. Like, we all know we need to be doing our database. You've got the data to prove it, right? So 100% every month you should be reaching out to your full database. Qualified agents, somebody's out there, they're like, I don't want to work with real estate agents. What type of data, or what could you say to somebody to convince them of how impactful realtor referral relationships can be?
I think it starts with having a standard of the service that you're going to provide to everyone. And the example I'll give is, we have our agents. We had an agent that was in another market. He was a qualified agent. We hadn't even called him this year. He wasn't on our radar. Had a relationship with an LO for 4 years. Had sent all of his business to this other LO. Couldn't get the guy on the phone. Sent us 2 or 3 referrals. I did not treat that person any differently than I treat any other realtor that we are in relationship with. Whether you send us 1 referral or 100, we're going to treat you the same way. We're going to follow up. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, because we have systems, right?
Yep.
Called us 2 weeks later, basically said, yeah, I was testing you guys. You guys are far more communicative than this person I've sent everything to. You guys, you're my now number one. And at last check, and I could pull it open because I'm organized enough. Last check, he had sent us 26 referrals in the last 60 days.
Wow, in 60 days?
And is doing a refi with us personally.
13 a month. Doing math live. That's incredible, Peter. By process, by having.
And he also knows now, because I will make a one-on-one with an agent. I will make part of that conversation showing them our systems. Here's exactly how I'm going to track your business. And he knows that he can call me at any time, and I can tell him with certainty exactly where every single lead he's ever sent us is.
That's amazing. Absolutely incredible.
And I could do that for any agent.
Mm-hmm. All the same, because there's a system and there's a process and there's a CRM
so,
that you're using.
I define a system as something that creates a predictable, duplicatable, and sustainable result.
Yep.
That's my litmus. And if I can't answer yes to those 3, I don't have a system.
I could not agree more. Peter, we should look into doing a part 2, because this has been absolutely incredible. Thank you for being so generous with your time. If people want to find out about you or Adam Crosley and what he's doing in the mortgage industry, where do people go?
Well, Adam's on social media. I have decided, made the decision last year to really take a step back from, I don't want it to be about me. Like, Adam has built a great business. I just get to, it's sort of like NASCAR, when you get 2 cars, one's pushing the other, and they're out in front of everyone else. Mm-hmm. I am happy. I want everybody to, connect with Adam, because he's built this business over a really long period of time. I just had a skill set that kind of fit in different places for him. So you find Adam on social media, on LinkedIn, on lots of different places. He's built an amazing business, and I think the world of him. Like, to be able to join his business, it's now, I've gone from coaching a bunch of people to feeling like I have one coaching client, and I'm just taking an insanely deep dive into the business, and it's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. And it's amazing to see what you guys are doing together and the growth
Thank you.
of the business. So congratulations on that.
And we'll start making our education stuff public. We've built out the community so anybody can access our information for free. We'll have a community for homeowners. We have a community for real estate professionals. We'll develop one for investors. This is all inside the CRM. We've been able to create the space for people to come on demand and get answers.
That's awesome. That is amazing. Well, thank you for using the CRM and for being a client. And again, for those of you that would like this incredibly powerful tool in your business, go to LoanOfficerCRM.ai, sign up today, and you got a full 30 days to try it out, make sure it's the right fit for you. So Peter, again, thank you for being on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Right on. My pleasure. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, Peter.